Well, good evening. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to the Buck Stops here, sponsored by Buck Sanitary Service. We are a community that feels like the buck really does stop here with us and who we are and what we do. So we try to bring you topics on this show that we can learn from and do something about. And today is something we've been working really hard on. We all heard the stories in the news about some of the college students that came down with COVID-19. And we didn't hear much more about it. We don't know how symptomatic they were or what was going on. And I did a little digging and I found a group of them. My train's going to go by right now, so I'm sorry. And we talked with one of them. Jonas has agreed to join us to talk with us. I'm going to wait till that train goes by before I bring this poor young man on here. So there he is. There's Jonah. Hey, Jonah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So kind of start at the beginning, kind of tell what happened. How did this begin?
So, I mean, we weren't being idiots and just having huge parties and stuff, but it was like a couple of our friends, like close friends, and then a couple of other people that we're friends with, but not like friends with, came, and then they had known that their roommate, I'm not like completely certain on their side of the story, but they had known that their roommate got tested, but they didn't know the results. And then the morning after we had hung out with them, they found out that their roommate tested positive. So then they went in and got the rapid test, and then they came back positive. So then me and 5 of my other friends were exposed to them. So then we just stayed in the house for 18 days.
18 days. So did two of the young people knew that they had been tested? Why did they get tested in the first place? Did they have any symptoms?
No, they didn't have any symptoms until about 8th day, like 5 days after getting tested. So the only reason that they did get tested is because that their roommate came back positive. So yeah.
So they got tested, came to the party where you were.
No, they got the rapid test, which comes back in like 15, 20, 30 minutes.
So you had no idea that they had gone in and been tested, and you're at a party with them.
It wasn't a party. It was just
a get together.
Yeah, it was like a little get together. Yeah.
So of all the kids that were there, how many ended up being positive COVID-19?
So the 2 original people, and then their other friend tested positive. But out of like my group of our 5 friends, only 2 of us tested positive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so did any of the people have any signs or symptoms at all?
Probably the worst symptom is out of the group of 6, 2 people experienced losing their sense of smell and taste, which I didn't experience that. For a day or 2, and then it was completely back to normal. One of my roommates, he had a cough for like 3/4 of a day, and then it went away.
Was it a bad cough?
No, it was just like small cough every once in a while. Yeah.
So and you had no symptoms whatsoever?
No, nothing at all.
So what was that like? So you get quarantined. So what kind of tell me what those you stayed in longer. What were those days like? What were you doing?
I mean, so I kind of had it easy because I play guitar. So I was just playing guitar for the entire extent of the.
But you were locked down. You were basically quarantined to your home for like 15, 16 days.
Yeah. Going nowhere, just.
So you were telling me on the phone today that all your roommates, like you have 2 roommates, so you guys were all quarantined together, right?
Yeah.
And so your mom or somebody's parent was bringing food to you?
One of our friends that she doesn't live with us, but her mom was dropping us off groceries so we could have stuff and we didn't have to go out. And she'd like leave it on the bottom of our staircase, and we'd wave, say thank you, go down and get it. And absolutely no contact with anybody except the people that were directly affected in our friend group.
So did it freak you out?
Yeah, I was nervous because I've heard the stories, healthy people even can, bad things could happen from this virus. But yeah, I was nervous at first. Nobody else was really that nervous. We just felt like, yeah.
So how do they lock you down? Somebody wants to know, how do they lock you down? You really lock yourself down, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, nobody does anything like to you, like locking you down. You just have to isolate, just stay. Because even though none of us had symptoms, we don't want to, go out and even like the slightest chance of risking somebody else's health, even though we're not feeling anything. But yeah, there was no lockdown from someone else. We just all stayed in our house, didn't leave.
Did they tell you, like, where do you go? Like, I mean, kind of explain to that how that works. So where did you go to get the test, and then what did they say to you?
So it's actually funny how mine went. So we went with a group of 4 people who were all affected and exposed in the same night. And we went to this place, it's like Nova Health, because there's only certain places that do the rapid tests. So we went there, and then 2 out of the 4 of us got rapid tests, and me and my other roommate didn't get it because they said that there was like, basically they're like saying that it's kind of like it's gonna sound bad, but like a waste of time. They didn't say that exact words, but so they didn't test us. But then and then the 2 people who did get tested for the rapid tested negative. So then they're like, no, your friend's tested negative, so we're just going to give you the one that takes 5 days. It's more accurate. But then I didn't feel right about it. So I went to another one on West 11th, and I got the rapid test there, and it came back positive. So then I knew immediately that I had to start.
So Connie's asking, did they get a call from a contact tracer? You didn't. This was because somebody called you. Basically, 2 people showed up at a party or a gathering of like 5 or 6 people that they were at. Yeah. And then when they found out they were positive, then they get a hold of you guys and say, hey, you guys, guess what? We're positive. So then is that when you went, oh, shit?
Yeah. So basically, yeah, that exactly. So we had no idea. We were just hanging out. It wasn't crazy at all. Nothing crazy. It was a Saturday morning. They're just like, well, my friend comes banging on my door, and they're like, yeah, these 2 people that we were just with last night just tested positive. So then we're all like, we didn't really know protocol at the time. So we all thought it would be best to just stay in one house.
Right.
Which turns out that wasn't so, because people tested negative, but they had to quarantine for the same amount of time. But yeah.
Right, because your girlfriend actually had to quarantine too, and because she was with you, and she didn't test positive for any of it.
No, yeah. And she's had like 3, right? Yeah. She's had 3 and just all negative.
Okay, somebody's asking, how long between being exposed to when you were tested and it came out positive?
So we waited 5 days. No, 6 days. Because it was really weird because we were calling around and asking how long to wait, because if you don't wait long enough, you can't get an accurate test. So we waited 6 days to get it from being exposed.
So you quarantined yourself from that. Did anybody from that, do you contact the health department? Does anybody talk with you to give you advice on what to do, or are you guys just kind of winging it?
No, yeah, people were calling us and asking if we even needed groceries delivered, anything.
I mean, from the health department, though, did anybody contact you from Lane County or somewhere to say?
They had to get a trace of like, you got it from them, who'd they get it from?
Okay.
Who could have they been around?
So Jonah, Dale wants to know, did both tests come up positive for you, the rapid and the one that took 5 days?
Yeah. So and I did see a comment earlier that said rapid tests aren't accurate. And that's true, because one of the people who tested negative tested positive on the more accurate one. So, but both of mine did come back positive. But the thing is with the rapid, it's like 70% accurate. So there's a lot of they get a lot of false negatives, but they never get false positives. So if you get a positive rapid test, then you're positive.
Paul, this young man's name is Jonah. He's one of the students we've heard about. A lot of younger people, or some younger people, are coming up being tested and having COVID-19, and he did, but no symptoms whatsoever, and none of his friends had symptoms. We're talking about 5 or 6 people, except for a couple of them lost the taste in their mouth for a day or two, and one of them had a cough for about 3/4 of a day, but nothing really serious. So let me ask you this, kind of a tough question, but and you tell me to shut up if you want to. How serious do you see this after going through this?
For me personally, it's okay. It's just like in terms of health, I know I'm going to stay healthy, but as serious as I took it before is as serious as I think about it still, because I can still spread it just as easily, even though I'm not getting, because if it is true about the multiple strains things and that I may be able to get it again, I know I probably won't get sick, but I still would not want to spread it to anyone who's at risk, anyone who's older, anyone like one of my friend's parents, grandparents, something like that.
Right.
Yeah. So
you take that part seriously, but will you still go out with your friends and do your stuff? You're still going to hang out with your friends, and because you're through that process. Is that I'm asking?
Yeah, I mean,
how do you see life differently now after you've been through this and you see everything on the news, you see everything online? For me, Jonah, you're kind of like an expert that we haven't had yet. We don't know what kids are thinking. And I just want some real honest answers. Like, what are you thinking in terms of, if you get invited to another party, do you still go to the party? And it's not a judgment at all.
No. Well, and we weren't really going to like any big parties.
I shouldn't even say that, because it's like 6 or 7 gathering of people.
It's everything. I've gone to a couple things, and they've all been close. Everyone there I've known. So it's just people I've already been around and continue to be around. It's not like I'm going to something with like strangers that I just don't know. But yeah, definitely, I don't think it would be smart for anyone to be going to big parties right now with people that they're not sure who they are, who they've been around, what they've been doing. So, yeah. Because
these 2 girls show up, and that's where this came from. And it's not their fault necessarily, but now looking back, you might go, I don't know them. This might not be the smartest thing to have them around.
Yeah.
So when you look at the protests and all the things going on in the community, you see large groups of people getting together with masks. What do you think of that? I'm not against the protest, but I'm saying, would you put yourself in that position after what has happened?
Yeah, well, the thing with the mask is like, if the mask can actually protect you a lot and like prevent the spread a lot. If both people are wearing masks, there's like 95% chance, even if one of them has it, it won't get spread. So I think the protests are great. It's great, people voicing their opinions. Masks should be required. I mean, Kate Brown made the mask required if you're going outside and stuff, right?
Yeah, if you're in a large group, or you can't get without, if you can't stay 6 feet away from each other, then you should have a mask on.
Yeah.
And you totally agree with that.
Yeah, I can understand that completely.
Shauna, just to get you up to speed, the other friends, a couple of them had loss of taste. One of them had a slight cough for a little bit of the day, but nothing else in terms of symptoms. I wanted to let you know I retired from the sorority because of low immune system from cancer. Okay. So if you were going to sit down with kids your age in their 20s and 30s and stuff, you're now you've paid the price. You're an expert.
Yeah.
What would you say? What's your advice to people, and what do you tell people your age?
I mean, just very upfront, just don't be dumb about it. Don't be going somewhere you shouldn't be. Don't be, and if there's even the slightest chance that you could have came in contact with someone who had it, don't do anything until you know for certain. Because even my friends that tested negative, they still quarantined as long as the people who tested positive did. Because there's still throughout the entire, and like if you get tested negative, it's kind of weird. It's like, yeah, if you get tested negative, you could maybe even have to quarantine longer because there's still those 2 weeks that you could be exposed. But just, yeah, if I were to talk to other people, man, it's just don't be dumb about it.
Somebody wants to know if any of your friends had been traveling out of town or been in a high-risk situation prior.
No, everyone was just still here. Everyone's being, before and after, we've been pretty smart about it, in terms of, that stuff.
How did you know what to do? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm a reporter, so I probably could figure it out. But it's like kind of, I think it's weird that, who's the first person you called, or did you know because these girls who actually were the ones that probably infected you or that you got it from, they knew what to do, so you knew what to do from that information? How did you know what to do?
I mean, it seemed like it was kind of just simple to us. We just needed to literally just stay in our house. That's it. But then as far as the waiting time to get test results, we were calling the health department, calling the urgent cares and asking how long should we wait to get tested so we can get an accurate representation of like if we have it or not. Yeah.
Had any of you been at a peaceful protest? Somebody wants to know.
I haven't. My roommate and one of the other people were, but it was one of the earlier ones, so not recently.
So they are pretty sure they got it from these people that had come to your party.
Oh, it was certainly from them, but it had nothing to do with the protests.
And it wasn't contact tracing at all. This was because somebody's asking. I meant, was it contact tracing from other person who was sick? And nobody was sick. Even the two girls that actually possibly brought it to your place, they didn't get sick either, right?
They were a tiny bit sick. I'm pretty sure and I'm not really that close to them, but
okay,
I'm pretty sure they were a little bit sick for maybe a day or two.
Go ahead, Jonah.
A little bit of symptoms, but not much.
How long did they recommend you wait to test?
Yeah, so that was a weird thing also, because it seemed every single place we called had a different answer. So some people said 3 to 5 days. Some people said 5 to 7. Somebody said 7 to 10. Some other people said 7 to 10. 10 being the best. But then the place that we got tested at, they said that 5 days, like 4 to 7 days, is the most accurate. It's you want to wait a little bit after knowing you've been exposed, but I'd say at least 5 days.
So you get exposed, you find out the next morning that you've been exposed to this COVID. So then you start looking around to figure out what to do, but you can't go get tested for really. You can do the rapid test, but you can't go really for 5 days.
Well, yeah, so if I came in contact with them, and so I came on contact with them on Friday, and then we heard about it on Saturday that they just had gotten their rapid test back. If we were to have gone on Sunday, it would have came back negative, even if because it hasn't had a chance to come up yet and be able to test accurately.
Okay, I'm just reading something. Did the girls who possibly brought it to your gathering know where they were infected from?
So what I think happened is their roommate had gotten tested, but they didn't really know. And then they found out. So I'm pretty sure they got it from their roommate. And I don't really.
You didn't reach back that far.
Yeah, I didn't really know. I don't really know their side that well. My other friends know more about it than me, but it was from their roommate, as far as I know. I don't know where they got it from though.
So what is like you're 20, right?
Yeah, I turned 20 in 6 days.
So well, happy birthday ahead of time.
Thank
Um,
you.
Somebody says, yes, I was wondering why they got tested. Yeah, because somebody did come up with it positive, and you knew immediately the next day. So that's good.
So
Except you really, honestly, you couldn't do anything for 5 days. So really, when they say you're quarantined for 14, you got to add the days that you're waiting before the test. So you're really quarantined for like 15 days.
yeah, so they say 10 days. Wait 10 days after you get tested positive. So if you get a positive test, wait 10 days. But since we waited 6 days to get a test, we were in quarantine for longer than 14 days even.
So now that you've gone through it and you understand the seriousness and concept of wearing a mask, will you personally be wearing a mask from this point forward when you gather with your friends or in public?
Oh well, yeah, I've been wearing a mask in public this entire time. But with my friends, because we have a pretty close circle, so everybody that in my friend group, if they hang out with somebody, it's somebody that's and nobody's going around to random things, and so it depends the circumstance. If it's just like some of my close buddies, I honestly don't think I'd wear a mask.
So if you were in a group of 5 people and 2 people walked in that you didn't know, like, this is what happened before. Um, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Really, I'm not, Jonah. But at some point, do you go, I don't know if I want to be here, or who are, I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
or can you really feel kind of weird doing that? I'm just wanting to know.
well, yeah, if we're in a group, there wouldn't be like a case where somebody that we don't know would just come. It's like it's always in our friend group. It's always people we know.
So advice, what kind of advice do you give kids your age?
Yeah, again, just don't be dumb about it, and try and just always you go to a store that's like big deal. You got to wear a mask. Protests, you got to be wearing a mask. These big things. I mean, parties definitely aren't smart right now. So probably just don't go to parties at all. Like I said, it's just been like small gatherings within like our close friend group.
Should be reassured that they didn't catch it out in the community and they're wearing masks out of the house, and was so mild. Yeah, I mean I think that's what and most of the reports say most people who get this, it is pretty asymptomatic, like what you guys experienced, which was nothing or very little. And I think we have to keep that in mind too. But I love the fact that you guys did you did all your homework, you did all your research, and then you did the hardest thing where you stay in your damn house for 17 days.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
Wash your hands, don't touch your face, Mike.
That would be some advice to add as well.
And Mike, I touch my face. I've seen you been on here saying, "Grit, quit touching your face." I'm in my office. It's what I do when I'm in my office. It's a habit. I'm 61, and that is probably not going to change. But thank you. And I have a mom. Actually, I don't. She's dead. But anyway, you get all kinds of stuff. And Mike's a good guy. He's a friend of mine. But it's like, okay. Kathy says, thank you. Yeah, Jonah, thank you so much for coming on and being brave and just talking. And you got guts, and I really appreciate you doing that and giving the advice to other people. Thank you for respecting the community too and staying in like you were supposed to. Yeah. I'm sorry your poor girlfriend got stuck doing the same thing just because she knows you. You better know she likes you now. You better know that she's you better keep her. She's willing to quarantine for you for 14 days. You better be nice to that girl. I'm thinking flowers or a gift might be good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And everybody's saying thank you for sharing your story. They really appreciate it. Hey, all right, buddy. You are so welcome. Thanks again. And tell Steph and everybody thanks for having us in your house.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, I got to do a little closer here, and I'll talk to you later, buddy.
All
Okay.
right, yeah.
Bye. All right, you guys, again, that's Jonah. A really great story. Share that with other people. I think that'd be really good for people to hear, folks to know. A little reassuring too that kids really can do the right thing. And I do like that. Seems like a very responsible young man. You're right. Those who are writing that. We also can't stop without thanking Scott and Lisa Weld over at Buck Sanitary Service. This show is called The Buck Stops Here because it really does stop here with our community. It's us taking responsibility for the things we do. Anyway, we want to thank everybody for joining us, my closest friends. I'm sure there's more stories. Share them on here because people will go through and read what else is going on. And again, thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great evening. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we are at Subdermal Art Collective. I'm getting the rest of my some more of my tattoo put on. So we're going to show you there's some new things going on over there. And then you're going to watch me go under the needle for some fun. Oh, he said, wasn't meaning to direct that at either of you. Just something I struggle with. Okay, Mike, that's good. All right, see you later. All right, bye, you guys. Have a good night. See ya.